Hey everyone, we're going to learn a bit more about the data types. So we will talk about what are truthy, falsy, and nullish values, and basically why do I need to learn and where do I use it? That's the main question. And how do I check if given value is falsy or not? So let's get started. The first question: what are falsy values? So these six types in JavaScript, basically meaning it's all considered as falsy, meaning false values. So in a Boolean context, these six values will be evaluating to a false. That's all it is. So starting from a data type, primitive type undefined, in a Boolean context, this will be false. In a Boolean context, the primitive type null will be false. The literal zero, number zero, will be false in a Boolean context. And NaN, what is NaN? NaN is a global property, just like the way we write console.log. For example, just if I write console.log, I don't require an object to get the console because console is a global object. I can access it anywhere within the JavaScript runtime environment. So likewise, NaN is basically not a number, that is called as a global property, basically which is saying it is not a number. So the simple example would be if I just console out console.log and then say 1 plus undefined, for example. So where do we get this value undefined? Maybe some function may be passing some value, or we may the external API may pass this value. In this context, if I just do an arithmetic operator, what's going to happen? Let's execute it, and my file name is falsy. So what we are seeing is NaN because the numerical context of undefined will be NaN. So we can't add anything to a valid numerical value. So undefined cannot be added to a numeric value. That's why it is resulting into NaN, which is not a number. And again, this is an empty string. Basically, this can be enclosed with the single or double quotes, and obviously the false. So these six values will evaluate to false in a Boolean context. So now when I keep saying about what Boolean context, what does it mean? So for example, a typical example would be if you put if condition, what this is condition expecting within this parenthesis, within this bracket. This will expect a value or an expression which will evaluate to either true or false. It can't expect anything else, right? So that's the Boolean context. So something that expects only a Boolean value, either true or false. So a lot of our test automation code, we can't think of writing anything without this if condition because we make a lot of conditional statement. Be it checking an API, be it checking a web, be it checking, because otherwise testing is nothing, obviously, right? So we'll have to validate and check whether something is given is right or wrong. So we'll be using a lot if. So within that if block that we will tend to provide within this bracket, we'll be providing only a Boolean value, which is either true or false. In this context, all these six values will become false, right? That is the statement. So this is where we use the Boolean context. And before we jump on to that, let me also try and get an answer for the second one. So these two values, undefined and null, are considered as a nullish value. So wherever you see, generally wherever you see an undefined or null, these are two or primitive data type, these will be considered as a nullish value. So now we know what are falsy values and what is a nullish value, right? Nullish values are first two, they undefined and null. Now the important question, where do we use it? So let's think of an hypothetical scenario where we wanted to check whether a particular given string or word is exceeding 10 characters. This could be one of the tests or checks that you do on your real-time projects. For that purpose, let me create a simple function. Let me name this as check char count, for example. And if I need to check it, I need to have a word. This is my parameter. And within the block, what I'm going to write, if the given word, I'm assuming this is going to be a string, and given word is greater than 10 because length property of string will give us the actual character count. If it's going to be greater than 10, I'm just going to throw an error or maybe just console out for now. And then saying given word, I'm just putting the word here, exceed character limit 10. So this could be my simple function which will tell if I given a word, if the word character is exceeding 10, then this is going to just print me now here. But in real time, we may be just asserting it. For example, any of the assertion library, we will assert and fail it if it is going to be greater than. So depending on our context again, do we need to fail it or we just need to report it as an error or whatever. So this is my simple function. And if I just assuming that this will work for all of the cases, and I'm just going to just call the function now because this is at the definition stage. I'm just going to call the function. When we call the function, then we need to provide the argument, because here we call it as a parameter. When we provide when we call a function and provide a value, that is called as an argument. So remember this minute difference. Here it is a parameter, here it is an argument. So when I provide a valid argument, let me say that maybe just started liking JavaScript, for example. So this, by looks of it, it definitely will exceed more than 10 character, and I'll get this message printed. If I execute now, so we are seeing that the given word liking JavaScript exceeds character limit 10. So that's exactly what we wanted to work the function. But in real time, imagine that this function is called at some places where we are expecting the data from an external source. Again, remember, just going back to the basics, when we talk about test data, where do we get the data from? So either we can just, as a test automation person, we can prepare our own test data, number one. Number two, it can be generated by the code. Basically, for example, a date or timestamp or anything, it can be generated within the code, the program that we write, or the data could come from an external source. For example, it could come from a database call, it could come from an API, or it could come from a file system. In those cases, if that value, for example, for some XY reason comes as an undefined, for example, if the value, or let's talk about a more realistic example, null. For example, if the DB query is returning a value called null and you are executing this function now. So now we're going to see an interesting answer. Now we see that type error cannot read property length of undefined. Length of undefined or null. So if I provide undefined, it will say length of undefined, or otherwise it will say length of null, because null as a type does not have a property called length, because null is not a string type. So obviously our function will fail. And imagine that you have 1,000 lines of code, and suddenly when you execute a program in a negative condition, because our first example has been through fine, but the second one, if it is not executing well, and if you get this error, and obviously you go crazy because you don't understand where this error is caused, and obviously that will take a lot of time to debug and analyze it. So it is always a good practice. This is where we check whether the given particular parameter argument is a valid or not. So that is a case, that's a use case where we will check all of these conditions. So if the given value is any of this value, then this will fail. So how do we make this function a bit more neater so that we avoid such error happening? So if I put another check, so this check I've been using a lot in my code, obviously, because this will give you an answer whether the given value is valid or not. So if I just do a conditional check saying that if word, so in JavaScript you can just put the word and then open up the if block. So this is basically confirming that if it is a truthy value. So what is truthy value then? Anything other than these 6 type will become a truthy in JavaScript. So if you provide a valid string, that will become truthy. If you provide a valid array, object, function, anything, that will all evaluate to true except for these 6 types. Remember, that's what the falsy values are. So here, as we know, if will always evaluate, will execute this block only when the condition is true. Yes, that's a very basic thing. So if true, then execute this. So if I just put a negation by just putting an exclamatory mark, this I'm telling, if the word is not valid, then throw error, because this will basically throw error. And then saying, if I just put a throw and then error object, I'm just constructing an error object saying that given word, for example, I'm just formatting to say given word is not valid. So what I'm saying here is, if this given word is evaluating to any of the falsy values, and this will give us an user given through error message. So obviously this will be easy for us to locate and then fix it, because we know where these errors are coming from just by searching the error in here, and then you should be able to find where you introduce this block instead of a random generic one, because this is a very generic one, you will not be able to locate it. But this is something that you are writing it, so obviously it's easy for you to locate it when this error occurs, and it is giving a more meaningful message saying that the given argument will be valid. So this part, the way you can read it, if the given word is invalid, meaning if it is any of these values, then throw error. So if I execute my same code now, let me clean this and then execute this block now. So what you're seeing here is we're getting an error, but this is more meaningful message. Also, I know where to fix it. This is saying given word null is not valid. Obviously this is valid. So then you can look back and see whoever is providing the value, either a database call or a query or a API response or wherever, then you can check whether the given word is wrong, right or wrong. So this is the use case where we use this nullish value. So this will filter and give you only the valid one. So if I just go back and then provide any other string, for example, I'm just putting the statement here and then try to execute this now, this will go fine, because the given word JavaScript grade exceeds the character limit 10 because it's more than 10 character. So this is a real-time example of how we can eliminate or filter the only the valid given string. So this use case is a very I'm using a, whenever you define a reusable function, you should be using this and check whether this will be done or not. And one other interesting point, if you try to use TypeScript, this will by default avoid any of the type checking. So the way we can do it, but for not now, but you can understand this. If I just put a string type here, this should be a lowercase, and this is acceptable in a TypeScript file, meaning that if it is extension is .ts, then this is accepted. And this will also tell you, you need to provide only a string type. But this will also be TypeScript will not also again will not be valid in this case. For example, if you just pass an empty string in a Boolean context will become false. So this also will give you the error message, right? In this case, but this is still a valid string, right? So even TypeScript will not prevent this error because this empty string is still a valid string. So this execute will go here and but will not be done anything because this is not exceeding 10 character. But if you execute this now, what you're seeing here is error given word is not valid because this empty string is evaluating to false. So if it is going to be a false value, if it is invalid, then throw this error. So this is a use case of where we use this nullish or the falsy values. And remember again, anything other than this type will all become a truthy value. So now the final question, how do I check whether a given type or given variable is nullish or not? So that's going to be pretty simple. The way you can check it, let's introduce a variable called let me say a value type, for example, and then all we need to do is just create a boolean. So remember this, I'm starting with a capital uppercase boolean, and this is a function calling. I'm basically just creating a boolean type using this function. A function again in JavaScript is an higher order function where we can use the function to create an object as well. But we'll see them later in later session of how we can utilize it. But for now you can create it and pass your value, any value that you provide. This will all be tell you whether this type is a boolean or not. For example, if I just provide what you call NaN, just pass NaN because NaN is a valid identifier at a global scope. If I just type clg console.log and then just type only this. So what I've done is I've just called the boolean function, basically just creating an object by passing an argument, and then the return value will tell what is that value is, whether it is true or false. So if I clear and execute this, it's saying that it is the value is false because NaN is a falsy value. Same thing goes for if I put it 0 and then run it, it's going as false. And if we put null and execute this, this will be false. But interesting now one, you can provide all this value and then check whether this all will become false, it will be. But now interestingly, if I just put an empty object, what's going to happen? Let's see. So this is returning as true. So we will think an empty object may be a falsy value, but that's not. An empty object is also a valid false truthy value, meaning it is having something internally. And if you go with the same thing for an example, empty array, this will also become true. So how do we then check? For example, in the real-time use case, how do you check whether a given array or object is empty? Because otherwise you may tend to use its property and then you will get a lot of runtime error. So to avoid that, we can either use to get, for example, if it is an array, then we get the length property. If the length property is greater than 0, then it is a valid array. But we'll see a shortcut later session. How do we check whether a given object is empty by using some utility functions. So, but the core of this session will be to tell you how you can check a given data type. For example, in real time, you don't know whether it is revolving to true or false, just pass the value. For example, if I pass an empty string, this will also become a false, because these 6 type will become a falsy value. And we now understood why we are using it and where we can use it, right? And that's all for this session, and we'll see the next topic in the next one.